Alright, people, review of the week time. So, lot to talk about, lot to talk about, but we got to start with the fights that happened last night because there was two cards. There was obviously a Showtime card, and obviously there was a DAZN card. Now, the DAZN card was a Golden Boy card, and we'll talk about that second because there's only really one fight on the Showtime show that I want to talk about, which was obviously Boots Ennis versus Roman Villa, and Boots Ennis really impressed me. I mean, the knockout in the 10th round was savage. Villa was in a pretty bad way after the knockout, but he took a sustained beating in this fight. I mean, Ennis, he really is something else. This is one of the most impressive welterweights in a long time. Like, people like Turman when they were coming through, Spence, obviously Crawford started his career at 135 pounds, so you can't really say at welterweight. At welterweight, he was already established when he moved up. Ennis is just, impressive is beyond me. I found out about him about 4 years ago, was when I really was first being told about him, and Ortiz was being talked about a lot back then. And when you look at this guy, even in the highlight reels, it's not even, highlight reels are designed to make someone look good. But you see the power, the athleticism, everything on display with Jared Ennis, even back then. And he's improved since then. And this guy Villa, tough as nails. He really was. But Ennis was just tremendous. His speed, his power, his variety, everything. And I seen Hatman post in his community tab that one of the reasons why he thinks, or speculating, that Crawford versus Spence has been put over the line is because the IBF, and it'll be their first one in 5 years, which is a complete disgrace, just chucking that in there, but it is a disgrace, that he is IBF mandatory. He's the interim champion. And that actually does make a lot of sense because you think about it like this, right? And this is not saying like Spence is afraid of Jared Ennis. I don't think he's implying that, but he's implying that money-wise, you're going to make an absolute fortune fighting Terence Crawford, which they will. And, it's still a tough fight. But with Ennis, you're not going to make even a fraction of that. And again, it's a very, very, very tough fight. Jared Ennis is at that level. He is at that level. And believe you me, the winner, or maybe even Bo Crawford and Spence will move up after their respective fight. Maybe they'll have a rematch, who knows. But Ennis, he is the guy at 147 pounds. Even maybe, I wouldn't even, I don't know how I'd do if I would pick him over, either or right now. But he's in there. Jared Ennis is that guy. He's in there. And, the level between him and some of the other guys who are on the up and come, it's vast. I mean, Jared Ennis, he really is tremendously talented. So I can't speak more highly of him. Looking forward to seeing him getting his crack at whoever. I'd love to see the winner of Spence Crawford stick around and fight Boots Ennis. I really would, but I can't see that fight generating the kind of money that either man would want, unfortunately. So we will see what Jared Ennis does next. In terms of the DAZN card that was on last night, I did have a look at that. I mean, well, the main event of this fight was meant to be Virgil Ortiz versus Staniones. That didn't happen. And that fight apparently has been scrapped completely now. And obviously Staniones isn't a Golden Boy fighter. He's a PBC guy. So Golden Boy were never going to give him a run out just to be kind, if you know what I mean. He was coming over there, so he didn't fight at all. And, really for me, Virgil Ortiz, they've spoken about him moving up to 154 pounds now, in the wake of what's happened. But, when you're hearing about these sorts of things happening to him, you're hearing issues with his kidneys and stuff like that from the weight cutting and stuff. I know he's only young, but you do wonder, even at 154 pounds, will he be the same fighter ever again? Because it's been consistent now, this has been happening with him. It's been 3 times they've had to reschedule this fight. They had to reschedule the McKinson fight last year. It was meant to take place in April last year. It ended up happening in August. And it always seems to be coming up to the fight. Not a long period before the fight, you could say, okay, look, there's an issue. It always seems to be kind of when the weight cut is starting to come into it, is when he's having these issues. And, I like Virgil Ortiz. I think he's talented as hell. But these issues, these health issues, are becoming a problem. And I wonder, when he does finally, step back in the ring, are we really going to see a shell of his former self? Because these issues, they could have a lasting impact on him. I don't want to see that. I hope to God like that he comes back whenever at 154 pounds against who, and he looks every bit as good. But I'm not too optimistic about that. In terms of this card, Jojo Diaz fought Jerry Perez. And Jojo Diaz, this was 140 pounds. Jojo Diaz started his career at 126. He's really a 130 pound fighter, but he's just ill-disciplined. And again, he missed weight, amazingly, for this fight. Came in at 141.5 pounds. Unbelievable. You know, De La Hoya must be thinking, what else could go wrong? You know, you talk of Ryan Garcia leaving, and he took an L. Virgil Ortiz, health, God knows, all over the place. Jojo Diaz missing weight. He's got that Floyd Schofield kid on this card as well. He's actually a decent enough looking prospect. So keep an eye on him. He beat Haskell Rhodes on points there last night. So he's a decent looking prospect. But it's just, with De La Hoya and Golden Boy, it's just all over the place, it seems now, with these guys. It really does. So that's the situation there. Those were the two fights that happened on the weekend. In terms of fights that were announced last week, there was a few fights that got announced. The first of which was Alexander Usyk versus Dubois. It's going to happen in Poland, obviously. It's going to be on TNT pay-per-view, right, which is the new name for BT Sport. Raft pay-per-view is happening in the month of August because Anthony Joshua versus Dillian Whyte got announced on pay-per-view. £26.99. Now, I talked about them doing maybe a deal for current subscribers of DAZN. Well, apparently, if you want this fight, you have to sign up for DAZN and pay-per-view. That is steep, you know, because I thought with DAZN pay-per-view, it would be a kind of a, okay, you don't have to lock into a contract. We'll give it to you for this price, and then you can kind of decide what you want to do there. But with this one, you're going to have to pay, apparently from what I'm hearing, either the full term, which is about, I can't remember how much it is now actually, but I can't remember how much the full term is. The monthly save, which is the one I have, which is 10 quid a month, or you get the flexi one, which is 20 quid a month, and you can cancel, I think, at any time then after. You're still paying about 47 quid for it. I just don't think that that's going to work. I think that DAZN, and this is something that has been a big gripe with me for DAZN, is that in terms of their customer relations, it's not great. It really isn't, and it's been consistent the way through. You know, their customer relations hasn't been great, and you know, this right here, the £26.99, it can't even be a standalone. And the fact of the matter is, if you're already a subscriber, you know, you can't really, I suppose you could say both are getting it equally harsh, you know, in a sense of, if you're already a subscriber, you're paying on top of your subscription this. But yeah, I definitely think that things need to be looked at. I know they're trying to make money and they're trying to recoup a lot of money, but from everything, you know what's funny, right? Every single time DAZN do something where they maybe change the price or they change their terms, I always get people who are in the comment section saying, you know, I was holding out for DAZN, I was doing X, but now it seems to be just consistently every time. You know, there's new people saying, I've been holding out for a while, but now it's me gone. And I don't know. I wonder if whoever's in that team is overthinking things, is thinking, well, we need to make money, we need to recoup, so we'll just do this. So we'll make sure everyone has to pay, and then it's like, oh, people are leaving hand over fist. And I know you can only really leave it if you're doing the monthly saver thing, which is not ideal because it's still quite expensive. Unless people are getting on the phone and complaining, I don't know. But I think they need to have a look at things with that. With regards to the actual fight, let's take everything out of the equation. Let's talk about the actual fight itself. It's the perfect fight for Joshua at this time. You know, I've said that once, I'll say it again. With Dillian Whyte, you've someone who you should be confident of beating because you've already beaten him. It's not like Alexander Usyk who's beaten you. It's not like Andy Ruiz who's beaten you. This is someone you're rematching who you've already beaten. You've already stopped. So with Joshua, there shouldn't be that vulnerability there that we've seen over the last couple of years really with him, where it's like, okay, I don't know this guy, what do I do? Or this guy's beating me and I know we can do this, what do I do? It should be a case of, okay, I've been in there, I've been in, seen it and done it with this guy, I've beaten him, I've stopped him, And, I quite fancy myself to take it. Given the fact that Joshua, although Joshua's been down and hurt himself a few times, but given the fact that he's seen Dillian Whyte down and hurt several times over the last few years, that should give him confidence to say, okay, look, I'm going in here. I have power. I've stopped this guy before. He's been stopped by the same punch, a couple of times as well. I should be going in here feeling confident. Now, will he or won't he? I've heard some people liken this fight to the fragile chin on Dillian Whyte versus the fragile mentality on Anthony Joshua, and which will crack first. And that really is an accurate way of looking at it if you think about it, because with Dillian Whyte, Joshua's chin isn't amazing either, but I would say Whyte's is worse at this stage. With Whyte, it's like, can the chin hold up? I don't think it will. With Joshua, can his mindset hold up? Can he keep it together mentally? And again, that's a very, very good question, because I don't really know. If he gets hurt or he gets rocked by Dillian Whyte, what would he do? Like, how would he react to it? Because in the past, he's not reacted well at all. When he's got real adversity, he's really not reacted well. When his back's been against the wall. This is something about Daniel Dubois, fighting Alexander Usyk. With Dubois, although he's shown mental fragility, I think he's more likely to just go out and go for broke almost, in a way. Like, I think that it'll come back to bite him, to be honest, if he does go for broke. But I think he'd be more willing to just say, right, let's see what happens. Whereas Joshua, it was just a case of, no, even 2 fights, and even talking it up in the second fight, that I'm going to go in, it was like, once I'm in there, it's like, no, I'm just going to try and keep it at range. I'm not going to go for broke. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this fight. I expect Joshua to win. I win comfortably. There is that element of, can Dillian Whyte's best punch is his left hook. Joshua, the left hook against Dillian Whyte in the first fight, the left hook against Andy Ruiz. It's going to be interesting. I'm sure if Dillian Whyte hits Joshua with his best left hook, he's going to put Joshua to sleep. So you do wonder about that, but it's a case of what's Dillian Whyte going to have to go through to land that shot? And can he go through it? That we don't know. In terms of Dubois versus Usyk, I've seen some people give Dubois a chance. I think Hatman's been kind of saying that he gives Dubois more of a chance than others. I've seen a few people say that Dubois may be the hardest puncher that Alexander Usyk has faced as a professional. That did get me thinking, because I know some people would say it's Anthony Joshua. I would say that the hardest puncher, and this might be a bit, some people might look at me and say, gee, but I would say that the hardest puncher currently that Alexander Usyk has faced, just upon the eye test, has actually been Gassiev. Gassiev is a tremendous puncher. He really is. I don't think people realise the power that guy actually has. He is a horrific puncher. He really, really is. Who was it? There was someone who sparred Gassiev. Oh, who was it? It was years ago. I think it was just before he was going to fight Lebedev. Who was? It was a heavyweight. And he was talking about Gassiev's power being legit. Like on par with guys he's sparred, big punchers. And I can't remember who it was. But Gassiev is a tremendous puncher. Usyk never was caught by his best shot, his left hook, which is Gassiev's best shot. But he did take some right hands, big right hands, and took them okay. Daniel Dubois, how would Usyk react to his power? Dubois definitely got power there. Does he hit harder than Joshua? I don't know. I've never been on the receive. I've never been hit by either of them. But thank God. But definitely he's got power there. So I just think that Dubois is just too stiff, too robotic to really be able to mount any real kind of offense. I think that Alexander Usyk is going to light him up. He's going to light him up with the left hand. That's what I think is going to happen. But I could be proven wrong. You just don't know. Eddie Hearn has declared that the Joshua versus Wilder fight is a guarantee. It's locked in for December, provided he beats Dillian Whyte on the 12th. I'm wondering, will Wilder have an interim fight? He's mentioning Andy Ruiz. Someone, it might have been Dale actually, said, why doesn't Wilder just fight Franklin? And actually, do you know what? Franklin is not as tall as Joshua, but he certainly would probably be stylistically a little bit similar than Andy Ruiz would. And why doesn't Wilder fight him? I mean, if he can take Wilder's power, you're dealing with him. I don't think he will, but why don't I just fight Franklin? That'd be a decent enough stay. You get some rounds, certainly. So let's see if Wilder has the interim fight. In terms of Joshua Wilder, can't wait. This is an interesting one. So Badou Jack is report. I actually heard, but I thought he was going to challenge for the cruiserweight. Okay, interesting. So Badou Jack is actually going to take on, apparently, Lucas Rozansky for the Bridgerweight title. The Bridgerweight title. Ooh, wow. Apparently going to take him on, and yeah, probably in Saudi Arabia. Actually, it looks like it will be in Saudi Arabia later this year. Badou Jack is, do you know what's ironic, right? Badou Jack, early in his career, up until a couple of years ago, was promoted by Floyd Mayweather. He was part of TMT, the money team. And Jack was making okay money. You know, he was super middleweight champion, then he won a title at light heavyweight, and, you know, he was doing all right. Yeah, doing all right. And now he's in the twilight of his career. He really is past it, he really is. But he's probably making more money now than he did in probably his prime combined. Because he is the poster boy for the boxing in Saudi. He really is. And he is making an absolute killing. And he's got, let's face facts, he's got a lot of people on his side over there. We know that fight against, what was that guy's name? He fought him on the Joshua Usyk card. That was a real dodgy decision. You know, could have went either way, but they gave it to Jack. And then there was that round where Jack buzzed the guy, and the round lasted like 4 minutes or something like that. So Jack's definitely, he's the poster boy out there for Saudi, for the boxing in Saudi. He's making probably more money now than he's ever made. And him against Rozansky's nothing to write home about. You know, Bellew was talking about coming back and having a fight with him. And at this point, I wouldn't be advising Bellew to fight him. I wouldn't at this point. But prime Bellew would make light work of Rozansky. I've even seen Babbage mention Tony Bellew. And again, like, Babbage and Rozansky against the prime Bellew. Bellew would make... Bellew probably wouldn't even need a round to beat Alan Babbage. Rozansky maybe a few more, but he probably wouldn't even need a round to beat Alan Babbage. He'd probably just walk him onto a left hook and that would be all she wrote. So Tony Bellew saying he wants to... At this point now, obviously I'm talking about a prime Bellew when I say he'd probably beat... And he probably would beat Alan Babbage in a round. But now, I don't know. Father Time is undefeated and you just don't know what someone's going to be like 4.5 years after their last fight. Eddie Hearn has been talking up the undercard of Joshua versus Whyte. It's going to want to be a good undercard because the first fight had a brilliant undercard. Spike versus Eubank Jr., Kevin Mitchell versus Ishmael Barroso, Bellew versus Mastinek was on that card. Who else was on it? Did Chisora fought on it? God almighty, who else fought on it? Am I missing someone? I'm pretty sure that was it. It was a very, 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 very good undercard. That's one thing I do remember very vividly about that card. Even though it was pay-per-view and it was a British title fight, the undercard was absolutely stacked. I mean, it really was. I mean, Bellew versus Mastinek was down the card. I think it was I think Mitchell versus Barroso went on after that. That was a good fight as well. Obviously, Barroso won that fight. I think co-main was obviously Eubank versus Spike O'Sullivan. In fact, definitely was. God, what else was on that? No, I can't remember what else was on it. But I know Chisora fought very early on the undercard. Well, he's been talking about doing Dempsey McKeon versus Filip Hrgovic. Haven't seen Hrgovic in a while, actually. Let's get him out against Dempsey McKeon. I'd be picking Hrgovic heavily there. And he said he wants to do Cash versus Ammo Williams on the undercard. I mean, Cash versus Ammo Williams. I said to myself, I admire Eddie Hearn in one sense, the fact that he is still sticking with Felix Cash, despite the fact Felix Cash is so unreliable. He doesn't seem to really take his career serious at all. Eddie Hearn has probably lost loads of money on Felix Cash, but yet he's still sticking around him. I don't know why. I think Ammo Williams should beat Felix Cash. I never really rated Cash that high. And I heard a rumour that he split with Tony Sims. Now, Tony Sims obviously being being the trainer of Conor Benn. Conor Benn obviously is going through his own issues with UKAD, the British Boxing Board of Control, stemming from those 2 failed tests. And if someone said to me, how would I describe it? Like, Dominic Ingle gained the reputation, I know Bellew spoke about it, say, a couple of years ago, about, you know, fighters from his gym popping. And I'm not making any accusations, but when Felix Cash fought Denzel Bentley a couple of years ago, that was the best I've ever seen Felix Cash. And that was during a time where boxing was being behind closed doors, where there was restrictions all around the world, and a lot of protocols, such as testing, was not as thorough as it was before, or obviously as it is now. And that's the best I ever saw Felix Cash, and he's never looked that good again. And I'm not making any accusations, but I'm just chucking that out there. I have my own thoughts on that, because going into that fight, Felix Cash never really impressed me, and Denzel Bentley did. And I was favouring Bentley heavily. A lot of other people were at the time. And for him to just go in there and steamroll Bentley like that, and for Bentley to go on and perform as well as he has in some of his subsequent fights against arguably higher level opposition, you know, I'm not making no accusations, but it does make you really kind of scratch your head and think, what the hell was going on? And Felix Cash, the fact of the matter is now, like, you know, again, like, he was meant to fight on the undercard of Joshua versus Franklin, and he pulled out, I think, on fight week. The guy is so unreliable. I don't know why Eddie Hearn. Maybe it's because he's got a contract with Eddie Hearn and he has to have so many fights before it's done. And Eddie Hearn is just like, well, I can't release you because then maybe he's liable to some legal issues. Just get these fights out of the way and then see you later. I'm not working with you anymore, because he's not going to make it. Cash is garbage. Like, he really is. He's a solid British level fighter, but that's about the height of it. You're not going to get much more out of him. Really, he's not going to be challenging for world honours or anything like that. No way. So him against Williams on that card. Talking about Lee Wood versus Josh Warrington taking place in October. It won't be at the City Grounds for Nottingham Forest. It's going to be in Sheffield more than likely. Josh Warrington needs a win though. There's a pet peeve. I don't like fighters coming off the back of a loss, which he is coming off the back of, going straight in and getting a world title shot. That's not right. I know the WBO, you can't, and this is obviously WBA, but the rule of WBO, last time I checked, was you have to have a win before you can challenge for a title. WBA don't seem to care. Eddie Hearn has also declared they've made apparently Devin Haney an offer for Regis Prograis next for WBC £140 title. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Let's see what happens there. This is an interesting one. Well, I should say interesting. It's not really as anyone's surprised, really. WBC President Mauricio Sulaiman, wait for this, will not be stripping Jamal Charlo. Why not? He's not fought in 2 years. Like, he's not fought. What's the point? Like, what is the point on having that title? And do you know what? Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, he won't strip Charlo for 2 years, right? 2 years, no fight. But yet there are other fighters who have his title where it's, and again, Fury is another one. Not that he, but he's not calling no mandatory for Fury. Not that he needs to necessarily strip him, but he won't call him mandatory for Fury. He did the same for Wilder, right? But there are other fighters in other weight divisions where it's like one mandatory's done and he's got another one lined up. So it's one rule for one fighter, another rule for another fighter. It's a joke. Sulaiman really is one of the biggest pieces of you-know-what I have ever come across in boxing. He really, truly is. He really is. Unbelievable. Tyson Fury versus Ngannou reportedly now expected to be announced this week. Exhibition, but I'm not even going to go there. Don't care. Just done. Don't care. Not going to go in. Not going to talk much about it. Couldn't care less. Unless it's Alexander Usyk. And the rumour is that if the Fury fight doesn't get made for the end of the year or starting next year, that it's just going to be Usyk versus Hrgovic. At the end of the day, right, Fury, all he's doing is just wrecking his legacy. And at the end of the day, he's been led away with it for so long because a lot of fans have given him a pass. And I've seen it myself in videos where former fans of his now actually have said that we gave him a pass for so long, but at this point now it's just, we're done. And I think with him, he's been so used to gaslighting the fans over the last couple of years. And a lot of them have believed him. You know, a lot of them have. Whereas now it's just so apparent that... And look, Fury's not stupid in one regard, because I think he knows deep down that with him it's a case of, I need the right fight at the right time against the right style. Otherwise, I just don't want to know about it. Because obviously Fury, I think, realised that he's closer to the end than maybe his fans want to believe. But he's not coming out and saying that. He's just putting obstacles in front of all these fighters and then coming out and saying, they're all ducking me. It's like, there's no one out there ducking him. Like, literally, I'd say you would have a conveyor belt of fighters who are looking to line up. I mean, you've got Frank Sanchez mentioning him, amongst others. And it's like, just no mention of any of these guys to get these exhibitions out of the way and call out Ngannou, call out Jones, but like Usyk, who's tried his damnedest for nearly 2 years now to make this fight. No. He's ducking me. Joshua's ducking me. They're all apparently ducking him, even though they're all trying to make the fight. But yet you keep moving the goalposts and putting unreasonable deadlines on it. But yeah, apparently everyone else is ducking you. And I think now the fans really are starting to catch on to that. There's obviously some idiots still around who are just like, oh, there's Fury's the kid, blah, blah, blah. But no one you kind of look at them and you don't look at them, you just look at a comment, you just ignore it, because those guys are just, I don't understand why you would still be clamouring for Fury now at this stage. But the majority of his fans have woken up, and I think that it's been a PR disaster this last year for Tyson Fury with regards to everything. It could go back to the Chisora fight, putting that on pay-per-view and just maybe even make it a title fight, to be honest with you. And the way he's handled the Usyk situation, calling out these UFC guys, it's just left a bad taste in a lot of fans' mouths. Because I think even one of Tyson Fury's die-hard fans, they're still boxing fans at the end of the day, the majority of them, and they want to see Undisputed, and they know, hand over heart, that it's Tyson Fury is the one who's causing Undisputed not to take place. And, a tree is known by its fruits. This isn't the first time that Fury has moved the goalposts on people. It's not the first time he's been difficult. And he's doing this with Alexander Usyk, who has a history of just being a road warrior almost. Like, wherever there's a title, I'll go. I'll fight him. Don't care. I'll fight Joshua in his backyard. I'll fight Gassiev in his backyard. I'll fight Briedis in his backyard. And so on and so forth. Whereas Fury, you go back to the David Price days. I'll move the goalpost there. I won't take this fight. I'll do this. It's like with Dylan Whyte, people are short to remember, quick to forget, I should say. Dylan Whyte, he could have fought him in 2019. The rematch with Wilder was ordered back in 2019, early 2019. And, Fury said, I signed with Top Rank actually at the time, and was like, no, we'll take an interim fight. Okay, Dylan Whyte's there. Why not fight Dylan Whyte? I'll only fight if you put the Diamond title on the line, which is a very unnecessary title that WBC chuck around now and again. But they said, okay, I'll put the Diamond title on the line. No, fought Tom Schwartz instead. It just, your mind boggles. And again, like, you see the ease Fury beat Whyte. You would look and you just be like, well, why would you why would you just not just take the fight? Your mind just boggles. It really does. With the way he manages his career and the way he just picks a certain style at the right time, at the right fight at the right time. And it's just like, it's all a business. And as I said, fans are wising on to that. I didn't want this to be a ranting thing, but I just ended up doing it. But the fans are copping on to it. A lot of them are. And I think that you'll really see it in the future with Fury, with the exhibition stuff that he puts on, that the numbers will be way down. I mean, the numbers are already, prior to that, not amazing. They're all right, but they're not baseball numbers or anything like that. But you're really going to see it in the future, I think, with certain, let's do Usyk or someone like that. But you're really going to see it with the Ngannou things, if they're putting it on pay-per-view and so that the numbers being, because a lot of the casuals will lap it up, but a lot of the true fans, they just don't seem to care anymore. And I can't blame them. I mean, I don't think anyone really. I've gotten to the stage where I'm just sick of it. It's just like, wait, you'll probably get there. I'm done. In terms of everything else, I will leave it there. Hope you enjoyed the video. People, smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you all have a great week. We will do a live, maybe even tomorrow. Tomorrow or Tuesday, one or the other. But for now, I'll talk to you peeps. Peace.